You're asking them to foot your bills so that you can continue on with your socialist agenda. Is that a reasonable thing to do? I'm in Ottawa right now trying to uncover what is going on during this global pandemic. What are the NDP doing? What are the Liberals doing? And what are the Conservatives doing? Just yesterday, I was in front of the House of Commons waiting to speak to Dr. Theresa Tam. Well, I found someone else. I found Anne McGrath, who you and I know quite well. Anne McGrath is the executive director of the NDP, and just a few days ago, a story broke that the NDP, along with every other major political party in Ottawa, were abusing taxpayers' dollars and using them to fund the salaries of political staff. It was almost too crazy to believe. Too crazy to believe that the Conservatives, who have been criticizing this program, were using taxpayers' dollars to pay their salaries behind closed doors. It was even crazier to believe that the Liberals, who created this program in the first place, were abusing it themselves. The governing party using taxpayer dollars to fund the salaries of their political staff. People who create attack ads against Andrew Scheer and Jagmeet Singh, they were being paid for by you and I. And then it was just funny that the NDP were abusing this program. We knew that they would, those socialists. And of course, their executive director, being the communist Anne McGrath, well, she just couldn't help herself from taking money from you and I and using it to fund the salaries of her socialist staff. Now, Anne McGrath just happened to be walking down the street, which is why I was able to ask her these questions. I'd ask the same questions of every other executive director if I could. But Anne McGrath was right there, and her and I go way back, so I figured I would ask her a few questions. And I actually had to refilm this open, because just yesterday, just a few moments after this video was filmed, it became clear that the NDP were colluding with the Liberals to shut down Parliament. Now, I would have actually much rather have asked her about that, and I even thought after I filmed, what nefarious activities was Anne McGrath up to? Well, it turned out she was up to closing down Parliament. And I also want to note, before we get to these questions to Anne McGrath, I want you to keep in mind that the NDP actually own a $12 million building in downtown Ottawa. Can you believe that? They're swimming in cash, but they're still using your taxes to pay the salaries of their political staff. It is unbelievable. Anne McGrath was just across the street. I ran across the street to go catch up with her. Here's the conversation. Do you think it's reasonable for the federal government to be subsidizing the salary of political staff? You're asking them to foot your bills so that you can continue on with your socialist agenda. Is that a reasonable thing to do? Even supporters of the NDP think that it's a disgrace that you are using taxpayer money to fund political activity. Do you have anything to say for yourself? All right. Well, good luck with that, Anne. Take care. So this is Anne McGrath. She is the executive director of the New Democrat Party here in Ottawa. She's a failed communist candidate. She's a failed NDP candidate in Calgary varsity. She lost that election in Calgary just by a hair. I wonder why that was. We didn't expect to see Anne McGrath. It was just a happy coincidence while we waited for Dr. Theresa Tam outside of the House of Commons. I'm not sure what sort of nefarious political activities Anne McGrath was getting up to, but I'm glad we had the opportunity to catch up. It's been some time since I met her in Calgary varsity when she lost that election. It's good to catch up with her. For Rebel News in Ottawa, I'm Keean Bexte. Right now, I am in Ottawa on sort of a mission to report on Justin Trudeau and what is going on here in the nation's capital during this global pandemic. Now, there's a lot of stuff to cover, from Justin Trudeau himself to Anne McGrath to Andrew Scheer to Dr. Theresa Tam, everything in between. If you go to letusreport.com, there's a whole fight we're going through right now to get us in places where we can report. Check it out at letusreport.com.